Hey guys, Grifton here, and today we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft Classic Season of Discovery Phase 1 Druid changes. Now, Phase 1 I'm looking at as your 25 level cap with your raid and all the changes and all the runes that we are aware of at this point, and how they will kind of work with our classes. Now, there's a lot more to this than just explaining these. I did put some basic talents in here, but those may change because one of the greatest things about SOD is we know very little about how our classes will actually play both by themselves and with each other. So with that being said, I'm just going to get into this and hopefully get this information out here, and hopefully I'll get some feedback and be able to update this in the future. So I do want to point out these are just my opinions. There's a lot we don't know. Things will likely change, not even just prior to the launch, but probably after launch as well, because they'll be constantly trying to balance something so we don't have overpowered classes. But just keep that in mind, take everything with a grain of salt. Okay, so I'm going to start right off with Feral Druid DPS. So on the left here, you'll see there is the basic talent tree. Now, I stuck with just the Feral Combat talent section, though there is a possibility that you could take 5 points out of this and put it into your restoration to allow you to power shift at low level. So level 25 power shifting is a little tough because you can't get the Wolf's Head Helm, so you're relying very heavily on just the power shift from the restoration tree, which may work and that may be the play, but right now I decided to go try to reduce the cost of shred because ferals don't really have any AoE. Their big thing is going to be single target, so shred is their big hitter, so reducing the cost of shred is the play. There wasn't much to work with. Again, there's going to be changes here, so I just want to get that out of the way. Okay, so on the right here, these are the new runes that you get. You're going to see the name of it, what it's attached to, and then the description. So when I say what it's attached to is there's 3 places you can get a rune: on your chest, your legs, and your gloves, and apparently they attach like an enchantment to the items so you can swap them out for different fights. We'll see how this goes. Again, I haven't had a chance to play, so we're going to kind of just trust it. So the first thing we're getting is Wild Strikes. Now you can read through this. Essentially what it is Wind Fury Totem, which is really great, especially for Alliance that don't have Shaman. So yeah, you're going to be able to do Wind Fury Totem. This is going to be almost a guaranteed. You're going to have to get this for Feral DPS, probably why you'll be brought, especially if you're Alliance. Very powerful though, and very interesting. The next thing is going to be Skull Bash. Now this technically I think is supposed to be for the bear, but I want to put it out there because it's not specific to the bear, and this might be good for PvP. If you don't know what Skull Bash is, it wasn't introduced until I believe Cataclysm, but essentially it's your kick. Charge to a target within 13 yards and bash the target's skull, interrupting spell cast and preventing any spell in that school from being cast for 2 seconds. So yeah, it's like a kick, different from like your bash, your stomp. I'm blanking on our normal interrupt because it actually stuns the target as well. This one just interrupts spell casting. Very handy for both cats and bears. However, for a cat, you have to choose between Skull Bash and Savage Roar, and in my opinion, it's kind of going to be a no-brainer. You're going to want to get Savage Roar because it is really good. Finishing move that increases physical damage done by 30% while in cat form. It's just like in Wrath. It's absolutely 30%. I mean, it's broken. 30% increase in damage. You need to get this, especially at low level cat where you don't have a lot of options for buttons to press. So yeah, you're going to get Savage Roar, and then you have Mangle. This is just the mangle a target for 160% normal damage, cause a target to take 30% additional damage from bleed effects, and shred for 1 minute. This ability benefits from the triggers all effects associated with Claw and Maul. So this is another bear slash cat one, but because I believe bears have survival of the fittest on their gloves, don't hold me to that. I think they have something else on their gloves. We'll get to it, but definitely for cat, this is really good to put this on and then start shredding. So you're gonna see probably cats picking up this. Now I did put Sunfire in here, and this one might seem a little weird being in the feral, but I wanted to put it in here because and I put it in the tank one too, but I just want to read this. It burns the enemy for 55 to 65 nature damage, and then an additional 110 nature damage over 12 seconds, very similar to Moonfire. However, it says, in addition, while in bear form, cat form, or dire bear form, your Moonfire is replaced with Sunfire Bear or Sunfire Cat. The spell benefits from and triggers all effects associated with Moonfire. So what this implies is that you can use Sunfire in both cat and bear form. Now keep in mind, you do not have Fairy Fire or Feral Fairy Fire at this level, so you're not going to be able to pull with Fairy Fire like you normally would. As a bear, you probably have Charge, but if you're looking for something to pull with, this would be the play, but you'd have to give up Mangle. If you're soloing, you're usually not doing too many bleed effects, so Mangle's not crucial, but it hits a lot harder than Claw does, so that's going to be interesting early days. I don't know if there's some sort of cool combo for people with that, but just keep that in mind. Just wanted to put that in there. Okay, so let's just jump over to Feral Druid Tank. So this is going to have a couple of overlaps, but I want to talk about the Feral Combat tree. Again, I stuck with Feral Combat. There are things in Restoration you might want to pick up, but I don't think they're ever worth the balancing of Feral Combat, which you want. So obviously you're going to get Ferocity. The tough choice here was actually not Survival Instincts. Essentially the armor with the I have 3/5 in it, and the threat, which is the purple one with 3/5. I can't remember their names right now, and it's an image, so I can't really do much. The problem is one of them gives threat, one of them gives armor. At level 25, I don't know if you'll need extra armor, and I don't know if you'll need extra threat because of the changes. So if you feel you need more threat, you can overcommit to one. If you feel you're getting hit too hard, you can overcommit to the other, though it won't help your spell, so factor that in. I definitely picked up Charge, and then I put I think it's Primal Tenacity, where you get extra rage when you crit. That might not be the play, and again, this is just my quick throw together, hey, this looks pretty decent idea, but it may change drastically, so keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about the new runes. So Survival of the Fittest, just like in the Wrath talent trees, reduces the chance to be critically hit by melee attacks by 6%, so you're pretty much uncrittable, and reduces all damage taken by 10%. Damage taken reduced by an additional 10% while in bear form or dire bear form. See, and this is why I think like maybe the armor won't be that big of a deal, especially at low level, because you're already getting damage reduction in 3 different ways. You're not getting crit, you reduce all damage taken, and then another extra 10% while you're in bear form. So this might not make sense for the armor may not make sense for bear. We'll figure it out. And then we talked about Skull Bash already. It's still here, and I think it's going to be your primary for your legs. Gloves is where it's going to be a little questionable. So Lacerate is the obvious one for bears. Lacerate's the enemy target, making them bleed for 42 damage over 15 seconds, plus 20% weapon damage per existing application of Lacerate on the target. Causes a high amount of threat. This effect stacks up to 5 times on the same target. So pretty much Lacerate. Yeah, I don't know if Lacerate is going to be, super crucial. You also have Mangle you can pick up, so you can have Mangle, Maul, and Swipe instead of Lacerate, Maul, and Swipe. Maul does a lot of threat, so that, remember, it's a little bit different than it is in Wrath, so Maul might be okay without Mangle, but it's going to be a tough call. And then I put Sunfire in there because, again, it mentions it, and you don't have a pull for bears, so Sunfire might be a play, but I don't think I'd give up Mangle Lacerate for Sunfire. But I don't know, because I don't even know if Sunfire uses Rage or mana, and if it uses mana, it might be interesting to get Sunfire over something like Mangle or Lacerate, because you can use your Rage for Maul and your Sunfire mana for you can use both 2 different power forms at the same time, which would be interesting, though I don't know, we'll see what it does. Okay, let's jump down to Balanced Druid. So Balanced Druid, I don't think there's much you can do as far as talents. I think this might be it. I don't know. I looked around. Honestly, I didn't realize how limited balance is at the early stages. I mean, you extend your range and get Thorns. Thorns, by the way, it was just a filler. I have no idea what you'd get instead. A lot of these are actually for increasing physical damage, and as a boomy, you're not really doing a lot of physical damage, so factor that in. But let's talk about the runes. So Fury of the Storm Rage reduces the mana cost of Wrath by 100%, so your Wrath casts are now free, and each time you deal damage with Wrath, you have a 12% chance for the next cast of Healing Touch within 15 seconds to be instant. So this feels very much like a hybrid heal slash damage. I mean, instant healing is not new for ferals, but this might be a really cool thing where you can actually pick this up as a healer. I know I put this as balance because honestly there's not a lot of choices for balance, but if it's a free cast for Wrath, imagine you're a healer spamming Wrath and then Healing Touch on the tank. This would be super powerful when you're trying to do a balance class and trying to heal. I looked through the gear. Balance is actually really hard to gear at low levels, so if you do go heavy balance, I think you're going nature spell damage. I don't know, look into it. Fury of the Storm Rage I definitely think is interesting both for balance and for healers. I didn't put it in the healing one, but keep that in mind. And then we've got Star Surge. Launch surging stellar energies that cause 57 to 70 arcane damage. Oh, I crapped this, I apologize. Star Surge benefits from and triggers most talents and effects that trigger or benefit from Wrath or Starfire. Yeah, it's Star Surge. It's pretty cool. It's just gonna give you more options in your in your talents, like in your choices for spells. I don't know how this is going to work because again, I think you have Wrath and Starfire already, so I'm not sure if this is just going to be a more fun one, or maybe because it's instant, doesn't have a cast. I don't know. I don't remember Star Surge. I don't think it came out until Kata, so yeah, we'll look into that. The third one is Sunfire. This one we already talked about. So essentially you now have Wrath that is free. Sunfire that doesn't have a cost, but I'm assuming it costs something, but it works a lot like Moonfire, so you're gonna have multiple dots. Keep that in mind. If you end up going balance DPS, you might dip into the Resto Tree and try to get Insect Swarm and just be a dot person. Like you got Star Surge, Sunfire, like just start dotting and then filling with Wrath. I don't know. It's so early. Who knows what the actual build's going to be. Really interesting. But yes, these are the three you'd get normally for a standard balance build. All right, and then last we have the Restoration Druid. You can actually do pretty decent stuff with the Restoration. So you get the improved Mark of the Wild, which is really good. You're going to reduce your cast of Healing Touch, which is really good. You get mana reduction and threat reduction, and you can improve. I think you can improve either your rejuve or more reduction of your mana cost. I chose the rejuve because it doesn't really matter. It's so early. But let's talk about Living Seed. Your rune, when you critically heal your target with any healing spell, you plant a living seed on the target for 30% of the amount healed. The living seed will bloom when the target is next attacked. This is brought straight from the later expansions. Essentially, it's like a little mini bubble you put on them when you crit. Just extra healing, essentially. Life Bloom, very similar. Reduce the cooldown on your Rejuve and Life Bloom abilities by 0.5 seconds. And you gain the Life Bloom. That doesn't make any sense. Why would they have to reduce the cooldown of a thing that it's giving? Whatever, I don't want to talk about that. But anyway, reduce the global cooldown on Rejuve, so you can Rejuve much faster. And you can Life Bloom much faster on an ability you don't have. And Life Bloom heals the target for 45 over 7 seconds. When Life Bloom completes its duration or a dispel, the target instantly heals for 91 and the Druid regains half the cost of the spell. This effect can stack up to 3 times. So this feels like the Wrath version, if I'm remembering correctly. So one of the Life Blooms between TBC and Wrath was cheap and it was great to just keep stacked. The other one was expensive. You only use it for your like your Omen of Clarity procs, though you do get half the cost of the spell back if you let it bloom, which encourages you to let it fall off, whereas the other version it encourages you to keep it stacked. So because you don't have Omen of Clarity, I don't know how much Life Bloom is going to be used, but the fact that it reduces your global cooldown of Rejuve makes it kind of, you got to get it. And then for Wild Growth, for the gloves, heals all of target players' party members within 15 yards of target player for 156 over 7 seconds. The amount healed is applied quickly at first and slow down as Wild Growth. So this is reaches full duration. Sorry, I want to finish it. So this is your AoE heal. It's not going to be useful maybe, I mean, I guess it's useful out in like 5-mans. It's definitely raid healing, so you can either be a tank healer or raid healer. Honestly, I think especially at 25, you're going to see a lot of hybrid builds between the resto balance, where they're going to have like a mix of, maybe they'll take wild growth, and they'll take the Fury of the Storm Rage, so that they have instant healing touches when they're casting their Wrath. So they can just Wrath, healing touch, light, wild growth. They'd be giving up Sunfire, but because they already got Moonfire, maybe not that big of a deal. And then still get Star Surge. So I really think there's going to be some interesting hybrid classes for the Restoration and Balance. But that's everything as far as what you're getting for runes. Now, I say everything, but however, there's rumor that there are more runes that we haven't seen even in the demo they did at BlizzCon. So keep an eye out for those, because they may actually shake things up a bit. And Blizzard's already said they are very willing to change a lot of this stuff. So if something's not working out or something's just overpowered, you might see a shift. So keep an eye out. And if you haven't already, consider liking and subscribing so you don't miss out on content like this. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, take care.